I wanted to share some of my favorite books that have changed the way I think, the way I behave, and impacted my life in a big way. These are books that I recommend to my therapy clients, to my mindset coaching clients. I know therapy coaching is not always accessible to everybody. Through books, we can learn so many things. I want to recommend them to you so that you can do your own personal growth. Going to break it down in who is this book for and how it changed me. Let's get started. I have my coffee, so grab yourself some coffee. Just enjoy this very chatty video. The first book is How to Get Shit Done. This book is specifically for women. It's for the girl, the woman, the female who constantly feels guilty for not being able to do it all. It's for the person that has been told that you have to have everything all at once, that you have to accomplish so many things, that you have to accomplish things at a certain time frame. This is specifically for the woman who is tired of hearing the message that you constantly have to be a go-getter, doing all the stuff, doing all the crap, and feeling like you have to focus on all different areas of your life. Now, how did this book change me? Completely a reframe of my mindset towards productivity, my mindset as a woman, how I also see what areas of my life are the most important. Erin does talk about focusing on 3 areas of your life that are most important to you, and she helps you figure that out. Each chapter, you will have a couple of prompts to journal. I think this is helpful because not only are you listening to her story, you're reading about her story, which I personally learned through getting some insights from other people's stories and specific examples of how she went through certain things. If you're looking for something guided, this is a really good book. The next book, so many people rave about. It's one of those books that once I read the book, I wanted to listen to everything this person said because they're absolutely amazing. The book that I'm speaking about is called Atomic Habits by James Clear. You know, I'm subscribed to his newsletter. This book is super engaging. Now, who should read this book? If you have a hard time keeping habits, understanding why you keep failing, why you keep losing momentum, then this book is for you. Atomic Habits is the go-to guide for changing negative behavior that is impacting your ability to stay consistent with your habits. What I love about James Clear is that he shares 4 laws of behavior that are necessary in order to create good habits and break the bad ones. How did this change me? It helped me reframe how I see building habits. It also allowed me to switch my negative self-talk towards how I approached my habits as well. One of the things that stands out about this book is that James Clear really talks about being able to identify yourself as the person that does that habit. We usually say things like, I'm just not a runner, I'm not a morning person. And when we do those things, when we do that negative self-talk, I'm not this, I'm not that, it only deters us even farther from the person we want to be. So identifying yourself as that person that already has that habit has really helped me and my journey when it comes to fitness, when it comes to productivity, when it comes to many areas of my life, when it comes to creating healthy, sustainable habits. He really is about the mindset of creating small, long-lasting habits, not things that we just end up losing momentum for and we never stick to them. If you're someone who has been struggling with creating healthy habits, 100% recommend. The next book that really changed my mindset towards anxiety is called The Anxiety Toolkit. It is one of the books that I always recommend to my clients. And who should specifically read this? Well, this is specifically for the person who wants to really understand where anxiety comes from, how is it manifesting in your life, and what are some tangible tools that you can do to get relief from anxiety, especially if anxiety is to the point where it's affecting areas of your life. You're not able to push through going to work. You're not able to do social things. Like, think about all the things that maybe anxiety stops you from doing. This book is going to give you really tangible steps to move you forward. How it changed me, it allowed me to understand what I have within my control. And another thing that it taught me is what makes me anxious. Whenever I find myself in a funk, I go back and try the exercises. It also gives me a quick tool to provide clients who are seeking some immediate tools, some immediate relief from their anxious thoughts. It also just reinforces everything that we talk about during our sessions. Something else that I love about this book is that you do not have to read this book cover to cover. You can choose which chapter feels the most, what resonates the most with you. So for instance, I definitely always recommend to read like how anxiety works, just the part 1, which is understanding yourself and understanding your anxiety. And then part 2 has different chapters on like hesitancy, rumination, paralyzing perfectionism, fear of feedback and criticism, avoidance. You can choose what area of anxiety feels like comes out for you the most. So really highly recommend this for the anxious gal, the anxious person, to really get unstuck. One of my favorite books that I constantly recommend to clients when it comes to setting boundaries. This book, Set Boundaries, Find Peace, is perfect for the person who is a people pleaser, who struggles with setting healthy boundaries around family, career, relationships. This is such a great guide. The first couple of chapters gets you into basic understanding of what boundaries are, how you can set them, and then further along in part 2 of the book, you get to specific chapters in specific areas where you can set boundaries. In every chapter, you will also have a journal prompt exercise to guide you through the whole process. Now, I specifically tell clients to read the first couple of chapters to help better understand why it's hard to set those boundaries and the types of people that they are going to encounter when setting some of these boundaries, people who push back their boundaries, and also the feelings of guilt, right? A lot of people feel guilt and shame towards setting healthy boundaries. For me, growing up in a Latino household, it was hard to set boundaries. It was seen as disrespectful to say no to someone who is older or someone of authority in the family. The way it changed me, it allowed me to embrace life skilled towards the boundaries that I set in place. It gave me a good starting point to understand how to state a boundary, because she gives you specific scripts on what to say. I think sometimes when we feel stuck, like we can't say the right words, I often hear clients say, well, I want to say it in a way that they're going to take it well. And we don't have control over that. We don't have control over other people's actions or reactions, but we do have control over our actions and our reactions. So I really love that this book does focus on that as well. If you are in a season where boundaries are really important, I really hope that you grab this book. This is a book that I'm kind of still reading through, but I'm halfway there and I'm absolutely loving it. It's already changed so much about my mindset related to pleasure and sex and intimacy, and that is Come As You Are. If you have seen the Netflix documentary called, well, it's not a documentary, I think it's a series. I don't remember the series name, but I'll put it down below so that you can watch it, because the author, Emily Nagoski, she's actually in that series, and they talk about all different types of how to think about pleasure, you know, as it relates to women, as it relates to males. And so I think this is such a great book. This is a perfect book for anyone who is trying to understand more about their body and pleasure, and really getting into the mindset that pleasure is self-care. And I believe we all have the right to know how it all works. Also, what barriers can actually prevent us from having pleasure. Sometimes it's not even us. Sometimes it's our body just, you know, having a different response to pleasure. Sometimes it is we have different points of our body that experience more pleasure than others. So I really enjoyed this book. Again, how it changed me. I feel more open to talk about pleasure and sex and intimacy. I feel more informed about my body. I also feel like it helped me become a better clinician when it comes to topics about sex and pleasure. The next book that I highly recommend for you to grab is the 5 Love Languages. Don't have the physical book, but I'm going to put it right here just so you can know how it looks like. But this is perfect for couples or people who are in the season of dating. I think it's great for us to better understand how we like to be loved and how we show love. It helped me better understand how I love to be loved and how my husband likes to be loved. It helped us better understand how to show up in the relationship that best serves us. And I think it allowed us to build better relationships. I think it's allowed me to build better relationships with friends, and not just only with my husband, but also with family too. So I think it's really important to better understand how we love to love and how we like to show love, and are we actually loving someone the way they want to be loved, because that is so important. Sometimes there's a disconnect in that area, and so when we know what each other's love languages is, I think it helps. And if you want to take the 5 languages quiz, I will put it down in the description. You could do this, you don't have to get the book. You can also just go to the 5 languages website and take the quiz. And then the next book that I truly loved and really recommend to my clients is called Attached. I think this is specifically for people who struggle with relationships, new couples, honestly, everyone. You don't even have to be struggling in a relationship to have this book. I think this is a great book to really understand how your childhood has created certain behaviors towards relationships, how your childhood may have affected the way you find yourself in relationships, whether you're feeling too anxious in a relationship where you feel like you're losing your independence. You get to figure out what your attachment style is. I think it changed me in the way that when I figured out what my attention style, I knew exactly how I was self-sabotaging relationships. And it helped me when I met my husband to really understand what I need, how my needs need to be met, and how I wanted to feel secure in a relationship. So highly recommend Attached. Again, it's another book that I recommend to my clients. Please comment down below what book you feel you're gonna get, what you're most interested in. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the thumbs up button. I will see you in my next video.